So the other day I watched a match between Triple H and Sting at Wrestlemania 31, and after that match ended, I was so disappointed in the entire match. And not just the match itself, I was also disappointed in the ending as well. Maybe if D Generation X and the NWO didn't interfere, the match probably would have been a lot better, but we'll never know, will we? This was one of my dream matches. I expected more in the match, but I didn't get what I wanted. I guess I can't blame it because Sting was literally in his 60s or late 50s and he couldn't get ready like he did when I was still in WCW. There are a lot of dream matches that disappointed a lot of WWE fans. Now, I'm not saying that all dream matches disappoint. Asuka vs Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 34 was amazing, and AJ Styles vs John Cena at Summerslam 2016 was one of my favorite matches. But a lot of matches that people always wanted to see unexpectedly disappoint or not deliver the way we wanted them to. For example, take Team WWF or Team WCW at Survivor Series 2001. It was a disaster. If WWF and Team WCW had their greater talent in that match, the battle would have been one for the ages. Anyways, in today's video, I'm going to name the top 10 WWE Dream Matches that disappointed. Maybe it didn't disappoint you guys, but it sure disappointed me. There are matches that I will not be including in this match, but I will have some honorable mention in the description below, so you can check them out after you watch this list. So let's get right to the video. Number 10, Becky Lynch vs Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania 36. Now, technically, this is not a dream match, but I had to include it because of the length the match had. It lasted for less than 15 minutes, which is sad because you would think that a high-profile match that the Queen of Stage, Shayna Baszler vs the man Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship would last for at least 23 minutes. Anyways, the match was short, but that wasn't the only thing that made me hate it. Becky Lynch didn't wrestle like she did 2 years ago. Sure, I know she was pregnant at the time, but she could have at least delivered something else to hype up the match. I love Becky Lynch. She's one of my all-time favorites, but I think she could have at least dropped the title to Shayna Baszler because WWE practically made Shayna bury all those women at Elimination Chamber for nothing. They fought each other in a triple threat match before at Survivor Series 2019, which also didn't deliver, but I think we all would have expected that a match between Becky Lynch and Shayna would have had at least the hype the match that Becky Lynch had with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair the year prior, but it didn't. It did not deliver the way I wanted it to, so that's why I put it on the list. Number 9, Sami Zayn vs Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 36. After Daniel Bryan returned in 2018, 2 years after he made his heartbreaking retirement, fans were delighted to see him step back to the ring again. When he retired in 2016, a lot of NXT superstars were already making an impact on the WWE. And when Daniel Bryan returned to the ring, there were a lot of dream matches that were awaiting him. One of those matches included Sami Zayn. If you told someone in 2015 that Sami Zayn vs Daniel Bryan would have been match of the night of any pay-per-view, they would have believed it. And in 2020, they finally had that match at WrestleMania 36 for the Intercontinental Championship. This match was such a disappointment to anyone watching it. Sami Zayn kept playing hide and seek with Daniel Bryan, but he still had to defend his championship. When looking at the WrestleMania card itself, you would think that Daniel Bryan vs Sami Zayn would have been one of the best matches and would blow the roof off the place, but it didn't. Sami was one of the most annoying heels I've ever seen. We've expected the man that had a 5-star match against Shinsuke Nakamura at NXT TakeOver Dallas, or the man that had one of the best matches of the decade against Kevin Owens at Battleground. The only way this match would have been great was if Sami Zayn was a face, because face versus face or heel versus heel matches always make great matches. Anyways, this match was the most disappointing match out of the 2-day WrestleMania in my opinion. Number 8, Bret Hart vs Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 26. When there's real life or backstage tension involved in televised feuds and matches, it has the potential to make for one of the greatest wrestling matches. There was no bigger feud than Vince McMahon vs Bret Hart after the Montreal Screwjob after Survivor Series 1997. If you don't remember, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels had a match for the WWE Championship at Survivor Series. Bret threatened to leave with the WWE Championship as he was leaving to go to WCW. Vince McMahon wasn't going to let that happen though. He screwed Bret out of the championship to make sure it stays with the company. Unfortunately, they met each other one-on-one more than a decade later when they were much older, when Bret the Hitman Hart had sustained injuries and Vince McMahon was at least 64 years old at the time and they couldn't compete on the level in which us fans had hoped. So their anticipated WrestleMania match was a huge letdown and a disappointment. Number 7, Roman Reigns vs The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33. WrestleMania 32 hadn't gone so well. The Triple H match the year prior belongs on the list of the WrestleMania matches that disappointed everyone. At WrestleMania 33, everyone was expecting for The Undertaker to pull out the rabbit out of his hat like he has so many times before. Roman Reigns tried to bring back The Undertaker, but you could see that The Undertaker wasn't in physical condition to compete or to have one of his WrestleMania classics at his age, and with the help of an athlete such as Roman Reigns. After Roman Reigns eliminated him in the Royal Rumble, we were all hoping for a WrestleMania showdown between one of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era and the current one. In my opinion, I think The Undertaker reached his peak at 2012 on his match with Triple H at WrestleMania 28. I'm not saying that The Undertaker can wrestle anymore, he can still go. The WrestleMania match he had with AJ Styles the WrestleMania last year was amazing. All I'm saying is that he isn't as good as he was in the late 2000s. Number 6, AJ Styles with Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. The two had multiple matches on when they were wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling. The big name between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura will finally take place in the WWE ring at Wrestlemania. Instead of tearing the house down with their athleticism and star power, fans were feeling somehow underwhelmed. It was considered a failure by the wrestling community. Even AJ Styles himself commented on the letdown of the match, saying that the expectations were way too high. I know Shinsuke Nakamura thought so too, because no matter what we would have done in the match, the expectations were way too high for them to reach it. So that's why the match was a huge letdown for any wrestling fan watching it. Number 5, Sting vs Triple H. Now, in all fairness, this is also not a dream match. Well, it's not a dream match to anyone named Triple H. It was the first time we would see the WCW icon Sting compete for the first time inside a WWE ring. For many long-time fans, the match was pinned as a major disappointment. In my opinion, I feel like Sting's WrestleMania debut should have been against someone of his caliber like The Undertaker. This match was fought under extreme rules, but it took them quite a long time for them to reach their trademark weapons like the bat and the sledgehammer. But I think this match would have gone a lot better if the NWO and D Generation X didn't interfere in the matchup. But all that, this match was a disappointment. Number 4, Brock Lesnar vs Triple H at Summerslam. One of the few dream matches that I missed out on during Brock Lesnar's first run in the WWE from 2002 till 2004 was a singles match between him and Triple H. After Brock Lesnar returned in 2012 after WrestleMania 28, he had a return match against John Cena and Extreme Rules, but lost. Luckily, we had another chance to see that dream match for the first time. SummerSlam 2012 was the first of their matches together with the no disqualification stipulation. Brock Lesnar won that match via submission, but the match failed to live up to the decade of anticipation. This top superstar didn't have that much chemistry and didn't give out a main event worthy matchup. They had 2 more matches that continued disappointing, at one being at WrestleMania for the first time. They never got on the same page, so their match at SummerSlam didn't go so well and disappointed everyone in the audience. Number 3, Roman Reigns vs John Cena at No Mercy 2017. The dream matches of Roman Reigns vs John Cena shockingly took place at No Mercy 2017. Fans were always expecting it to take place in a first-class pay-per-view like the main event of WrestleMania or SummerSlam, but it was in WWE's B-level pay-per-views. The match itself did have some hype during its build-up, with both men cutting insanely personal promos on each other. John Cena and Roman Reigns unfortunately could not live up to the expectations, and the match was quite disappointing. The match didn't have that much chemistry as John Cena did with Randy Orton or as Roman Reigns did with Seth Rollins. Another way this match could have been a lot better as if it took place at SummerSlam and if it wasn't maybe for the WWE or Universal Championship. But again, this match did not live up to its hype. Number 2, Goldberg vs The Undertaker at Super Showdown. This was the first time these two went head-to-head. The Undertaker returned for the first time since WrestleMania 34 to face Goldberg. WWE's Saudi Arabia events have been highly criticized for them using aging performers, and this match is exactly why. This match at Super Showdown 2019 between The Undertaker and Goldberg was clumsy and included one of the worst performances in recent history. In fact, The Undertaker himself admitted it was one of his worst performances in his 30-year career. He called it catastrophic and disappointing. You don't even have to watch the match. The last chocolate Undertaker delivered tells you how horrible the match went. Number 1, John Cena vs The Undertaker at WrestleMania 34. John Cena and The Undertaker did lock horns during the beginning of Cena's career on SmackDown, yet this was the first time they clashed following Cena's stint on the top of the company. But by the time WrestleMania 34 came around, both wrestlers were already part-time performers, but fans were still excited at the prospect of them wrestling. However, the match lasted for 2 minutes and 47 seconds, which was less than 3 minutes. The WWE Universe was understandably less disappointed at how the match went. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description below, and I'll see you guys on my next video.